So annotations are notes made on a text in order to have a conversation with the text. So what you do in annotations is you ask text questions, make connections between the text and life, write your own interpretation of events, and find patterns that the author presents. Basic text-to connections. Text-to-text, meaning other movies, books, stories, songs, etc. Text-to-self, meaning experiences you have seen yourself, you had or seen yourself. Text-to-world, people, events, ideas that relate to anything in today's world. And text-to-input question, meaning what are key similarities and differences between this moment in the text and that idea your brain connects to. So how we make a sticky note. So actually before let's do advanced text connections. So some advanced are of text to author, meaning events or moments from the author's life that influence the event character in the story. Advanced text to history, historical or political events that I'm reminded of. Text to art, meaning feelings, ideas, moods that can be connected to other art, meaning sculptures, poetry, paintings, etc. So how to make a sticky note. On the front of the sticky note, number 1, text-to-text, self, world, etc. 2, page number. 3, explain what you noticed. 4, stick it at the passage in your story. On the back, your name, the name of the story. Remember to write it neatly. So this is a diagram notes I created, but let's use this. It's much simpler. So a formal outline for literary analysis. So actually I'm going to use this. So first we have to do an intro paragraph. In your intro paragraph, you first need an attention getter, meaning the theme. And you should remember to introduce and explain the theme. And in here, there should be no more than 300 words. The intro story, and the author tells what the story is about. You should do a famous quote, a cool fact. Don't a question or a quote form. Next, your second body paragraph. So in your second body paragraph, you should have a topic sentence that tells exactly what this paragraph is going to be about. Remember, it should be no more than 300 words per body paragraph. And then there should be supporting sentences like what is your point, context for quote, 3 quote citation, 4 explain how quote proves your point, and 5 transition. The context should be who is speaking, when are they speaking, and why are they speaking. And this should be 3 times per body paragraph. And then as you go into body paragraph number 2, remember transition and the conclusion sentence. And 2 and 3 body paragraphs are the same. And the conclusion is you should restate the thesis and same idea but different words. And the sentence structure should be different too. And you should also re-emphasize the importance of your theme and its connection to the story. Remember, you should have a clincher that leads a final lasting thought and reconnects back to your attention getter. So I'm going to kind of organize it up. So first, introduction paragraph. In your introduction paragraph, you should have an attention getter. Introduce and explain the theme. Introduce the story, author, and tell what the story is going to be about. As not the story that you read is about. Explain the connection between the theme and the story, and lastly, your thesis statement. In your first body paragraph, you should have a topic sentence. Your first point, it could be context. It should have a context, quote, and summary, or paraphrase, and explain or analysis and transition. And then C, your second point, the same. Third and the third point is the same, and your third paragraph is the same as the first body paragraph, but you also need a transition and a topic sentence once again. Lastly, we have our conclusion paragraph. It should restate the thesis statement, explain the essay's conclusion by referencing ideas from your body paragraphs, have a conclusion that connects back to the attention grabber, and leave the reader thinking. Let's move on to how many do I have? Okay. Let's go ahead and move on to theme. So what is theme? It is the central message or observation about life in literacy, or the lesson about life the author is trying to communicate to the reader. It is often related to the change in the protagonist at the climax of the story. How can you find it? First, you find the story's climax and use inferencing. 2. How did the protagonist change? Or what lesson did he or she learn? 3. One word, 3 words, and a sophisticated statement. So, these are basic strategy, number 1 to 2. Number 3 is just in between. Number 4 through 6 is advanced strategies. So number 4 is locate words of the wiser and answer anchor questions. 5. Locate aha moment and answer anchor questions. 6. Locate signposts that occur at the same moment and answer anchor questions and decide the idea that they have in common. Uses for the 1 word, 3 words, sophisticated statement strategy. Remember, a good theme can be supported by text, a bad theme cannot be. There can be multiple themes that aren't always directly stated, so you might have to infer it. Ask yourselves when finding the theme. Is the theme too obvious? Can the theme be supported with the text in the story? Can the theme be applied to more than one story? Strategies to elaborate in a theme. Number 1 to 5 is some deeper thoughts. Why is the theme complicated? Why is the theme more complicated than it seems? Why is the lesson hard for people to put into practice? Why does it take the entire story to write the theme? What specific real-world applications of the theme can you think of? And then some deeper thoughts, 6 through 7. Once the theme is identified, go back in the story and see if finding literary elements, example the setting, is possible. This should support the theme or feeling of it. 7. See if explaining why these literary elements are so important for understanding the theme. The strategy. So I watched a video, and some strategies here is finish common text. 2. Create a list of topics. 3. Pick a topic and write the sentence about what the author believes about the topic. 4. Cross out the author believes that and revise as needed. That's it. Let me real quick go back on some notes. I don't think. Okay, so I'm not gonna go over these, but these are some transitional words. There's to add or show sequence, to compare, to contrast, to give example and intensify, to indicate place, to indicate time, to repeat, summarize, or conclude, and to show cause and effect. Next, I'm going to go over some reading strategies, reading signposts for English. So in each signpost, there's number 1, a super exciting name, 2, clues to help find them, 3, questions needed to ask to find each signpost, 4, literary elements needed to be applied to the signpost. Number 1, contracts and contradicts. Definition: sharp contrast between what is expected versus what character is doing. Behavior contradicting previous behavior / well-established patterns. Clues to the signpost: character behaves or thinks in a way that is unexpected, or the element of the setting is unexpected. Anchor questions: why would the character act or feel this way? What has changed to make the actor feel this way? Why would the author make the actor feel this way? Literary elements help the reader understand this more. Theme and setting moment, climax, character development, and internal conflict. Aha moment. Definition: character's realization of something, shifting his actions or understanding of himself, the others, and the world. Clues to the signpost: phrases expressing suddenness. Example: suddenly I understood. Anchor questions: how might this moment change things? Why didn't the character realize this before? Literary elements helping the reader understand. Theme, internal conflict, character development. 3 tough questions. Definition: questions a character raises about life, revealing his or her inner struggles, not when the reader asks a question. Clues to the signpost: phrases expressing serious doubt or confusion. Example: what could I possibly do? Anchor questions. Why can't the read character answer the question? Why couldn't the character answer the question how? Or answer the question by yourself. Literary elements helping reader understand. Internal conflict, theme, and character development. Number 4, words of the wiser. Definition: advice or insight a wiser character, usually older, offers about life to the main character. Clues to the signpost. Usually main character and another are off by themselves, and the wiser figure shares wisdom or advice to help the main character with his or her main problem. Anchor question: what is the life lesson and why might the main character need to hear it? How will not following the advice affect the read character? Literary elements helps readers to understand theme, internal conflict, character development, and inciting moments. Long notes and strategies. So basically, when you write long notes, some strategies here. What to write about: analysis, themes, text-to-text, aha moment, again and again, literary elements, questions, word of the wiser, annotation, research, essential questions, text-to-history, text-to-art, and sticky notes. Basic strategies for writing longer. Write the anchor question using specific names and descriptions and ideas found in the text. Then answer it. Ask yourself why and answer this question. Compare and contrast this note with other notes you took from the story. Some sentence starters. I think, for example, this reminds me of, this is similar to, and more. Or use explanation words. For example, as, if, since in a sentence. If needed, make sure the specific focus for the long write is addressed to, and use other passages that relate to your topic. Advanced strategies for writing longer. Look for metaphors and similes in the text that the author uses. That is on the topic of your main topic in the essay. How does this enhance the moment? How does it make the reader feel? What social issues are there in your note as you see the story? How will someone who is different from you analyze this passage differently or similarly? Some sentence starters. What I'm hearing the author or character say is, however, this idea raises the bigger question of, because. While I agree that, I still disagree with the notion that, because. However, if I look at this from another perspective, I notice that the character or author's claim that assumes that, which is questionable because. By focusing too much on, we overlook the deeper problem of because for combining ideas for analysis according to both the name and name. Although I agree with these ideas up to a point, I don't accept the overall conclusion that because. So what ELA teachers look for: high quality writing, historical relevance, complex characters and plot and ideas, raises important questions, themes of the human condition, current relevance, stands the test of time, and is interesting and entertaining. Most important skill when discussing literacy is ability to prove and support my thoughts using specific passages from the text. In theme, I forget to emphasize that most important skill is the ability to prove my thoughts using specific passages from the story. If sophisticated is aware and able to interpret complex issues. Let's go on to why do we read? Quick notes. So why do we read? Well, we read for us to be able to communicate with others, for us to use more severe and hyperbole language so we can express our emotions and how we feel. So basically, in summary, it helps us to say better explanations, express our emotions more, and communicate better. So plot diagram. So in a plot, first there is the exposition, meaning the background info. And then here we have the inciting moment, which is the stirring up, and it moves the plot forward. The rising action is next. It is the action leading to the climax, then the climax, which is the turning point, and often happens at the same time as the protagonist changes. Then we have the falling action, the action or action leading away from the climax, and lastly we have the announcement, which is the final part or conclusion. And I forgot to say, but plot is the order of events in a story and what happens in the story. Moving on to characterization. So characterization is basically information we get about the character from indirect and direct characterization. So indirect is what the character says and does and what other characters say about him or her. Indirect characterization is what the narrator tells us about the character. There are a total of 4 types of characters: flat, round, static, and dynamic. Flat character is a character who has a single or few traits. Round character is a character who has many different characters, traits, or qualities. Static character is a character that doesn't change. Dynamic character is a character that changes or grows. We already went over theme, but real quickly is a lesson about life that author is trying to communicate to reader. The concept or idea and author analyzes from many different angles, sometimes without coming to a firm conclusion. It's often related to the change of the protagonist's experiences at the climax. Some basic literary elements are the protagonist. It is the main character who goes through a significant change. It is not necessarily the good guy. Antagonist is a person or force against the protagonist. It doesn't have to necessarily be the bad guy. Conflict. So conflict can occur between man versus man, man versus nature, man versus society, or man versus God versus supernatural. And these 4 are external conflicts, and the internal conflict is man versus himself. Symbol. When an object, character, or event stands for something larger than itself. Tone, the attitude the author takes toward the object. Mood, the atmosphere the author creates for the reader to feel. Point of view, first, second, third limited, or third omniscient. Third limited is when the narrator isn't the character in the story, it only uses third-person pronouns. Third omniscient is same as limited, but the narrator can peer into character's thoughts and his talkings. Situation irony, difference between what reader or character expects to happen and what actually happens. Dramatic irony, difference between what character thinks is going on and what the audience knows is going on. Verbal irony, when someone knowingly exaggerates or says one thing but means another. Imagery, when author paints vivid picture in reader's head, often by using the 5 senses. Foreshadowing, when the author leaves clues and hints of the future event. Lastly, last page, human condition, experiences or emotions shared by all people from all times to make up what it means to be human. Narrative, a story. Autobiography, when author writes his or her story. Memoir, when author writes about his or her own life, focusing on a particular period or event in time. Biography, when someone else writes about a person's entire life. Flashback, when the author stops current story to tell a story from the past that helps reader better understand the current story. Interference, coming to logical conclusions about ideas not directly stated. Non-fiction narratives, most text and or dialogue are paraphrased, rewritten, or recreated. The author only presents required ideas to tell the story. He or she shares mostly all qualities of fiction story. The goal of nonfiction narrative is to discover author's purpose and figure out experiences he or she is sharing. And that is it for ELA Notes. Thank you for watching.